The handling of the Ellen Greenberg case since her murder, not her death, wasn't an accident. It had nothing to do with her. It was a murder. On January 26th, 2011, the handling of the investigation, and I'm going to use air quotes, the investigation, and also everything, all the dominoes that lined up behind that first domino of a terrible investigation is an embarrassment. It should be an embarrassment to almost everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody who was involved. Now, recently there's been news that the federal government through the U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating corruption in this case. But nobody seems to want to touch what that corruption is, what happened. They just want to report that there is alleged corruption, but that's not how I roll. Today, we're going to go through the whole thing and hopefully shed some light on this terrible, terrible tragedy. Stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. If you would like to cut through the fluff, if you'd like to cut through the sensationalism in true crime, do I need another take on that one? In true crime, this is the right place for you. I'm glad you've joined us wherever you're joining us from. And please, I don't know, because it tickles my fancy, tell me where you're joining from in the comments. If you're in the live chat, do it there. If you're on the rewatch crew on YouTube, do it there. If you're on the podcast, comment there on the podcast. I just love to know where you guys are tuning in from. And you know what I just realized just after I began? I did not prepare any agua in ye old dill hole cup, which keeps me from getting parched as I sit here speaking into this microphone on this very, very, very important case. I just want to it's kind of a plug. Let's be honest, it's kind of a plug, but it's important. If you go to my website, gavinfish.com, and you go to the case page, you will find the Ellen Greenberg case. You click on it, you'll land on this page that's showing on your screen right now. This is a giant repository of videos, photos, crime scene photos, photogrammetry, case documents, court documents, timelines, even a very, very threatening letter directed to yours truly, copying ABC 2020 and the governor of the Commonwealth, Josh Shapiro. And even you will find videos of security camera footage from the Venice Lofts apartment where Ellen Greenberg was murdered. So check that out if you haven't already. It is a repository of information. Anybody who wants to do some type of citizen detective work on the Ellen Greenberg case, this is a great place to start. That's why I publish it. I publish it so that more eyeballs are on it, not to enrage or to outrage or to cause any type of kerfuffle. It is so that people with talent and time who want to dig into the case may do so. May I suggest that you start with the 911 call? It's the third YouTube video I did on this. We're going to go over a couple of these videos today if we have time. If we have time. And again, I'm like, I have no water. Crazy. What am I doing? You know what I need to do? I need a producer. That's what I need. I need a producer to bring me water. And I've got a few candidates that I'm considering. Javier is one, Dory is the other, and Wanda is the third. We're weighing our options there, looking for a producer. Okay, where are you guys tuning in from? Let's see. Let's go over to the live chat. Push the right buttons, Gavin. What do we got? We got Austin, Texas in the house. There we go. We got New Bedford, Mass, San Diego, Oregon, Maryland, Marietta, Georgia, Calgary. Welcome. Come on. Come on, computer. Maine. Suffolk is in the house. Icy, North Carolina is here. Wellington, New Zealand. Thank you very much for being here. Jacksonville, Florida. San Jose, California. We got an international show here. New York, Delaware County. I'm going to stop, just pause along the way. Rooter 7777 says, my heart goes out to Ellen's beautiful parents. Yes, 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 yes. And Ellen, I'm sorry, Josh and Sandy were on Jill's show yesterday. It was a great show. Where else we got? North Carolina, Portlandia. We got Twin Cities. We've got Hot Springs National Park. We got Chile in the house. Bienvenidos a Chile. Gracias por venir. Tennessee, North Carolina, Germany. Guten Nacht a Germany. Los Angeles, Doylestown, Newcastle, Tennessee, Niagara Falls. Oh my God, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, I suppose we should start here, since the point is to talk about the corruption. Okay, maybe let's do this. Maybe let's do this. Okay, Ellen Greenberg was a 27-year-old elementary school teacher in the Philadelphia area. She taught at a school called Juniata Park Academy. No, it is not Juanita Park Academy. It's Juniata Park Academy. She was engaged to be married. You see her here in her beautiful wedding dress, trying it on. In fact, they were so close to the wedding that save the dates had been sent out. And she was living with her boyfriend, her snuggly bear, her sweetie pie, a guy named Sam Goldberg. Now, Sam to Ellen was a catch. Came from a good family, pretty well-to-do, pretty accomplished, kind of old money. 3 generations, right? It's not like she was marrying into the Carnegies or anything, but what appeared on the surface to be a very good family. He had good prospects. He had gained his education. He was working in broadcasting. He had won an Emmy Award. These are, and as Ellen's dad told me one time, he was a nice Jewish boy. What more could a father ask for, right? So, to my knowledge, Josh and Sandy were happy for their daughter, Ellen. Now, as we get closer to that fateful day, which was January 26, 2011, we're coming up on the 15th anniversary of this crime. Ellen began to display symptoms of anxiety. She was telling lots of people she was having problems at work, that it was just causing her all sorts of stress. She reached out to a family member and asked if maybe she could move in just for a little while. This family member asked, you and Sam? And then Ellen dropped it. She reached out to her parents and she asked if she could come home. And the reason that she gave was there was just too much. She had all this anxiety. Now, her parents, concerned for her well-being and concerned about her prospects professionally, she had put so much work into this. She had gone and gotten her undergraduate degree. She had gotten 2 master's degrees. Concerned, they told her that she could come home, but before they went to that measure, why don't we get you help? Why don't we find you a counselor? Which they did, and Ellen began counseling. And let's see, I think it's somebody who prescribes drugs. I think she was a psychiatrist. Her name was Ellen Berman. Ellen Berman? I think so. And she started on anti-anxiety medication. She was doing well. They changed the medication along the way, and she was doing well. She reported to friends, she reported to her family that she was feeling much better. Okay? That brings us to January 26, 2011. A nor'easter was barreling down on Philadelphia, on all of Pennsylvania, really. A nor'easter is the wintry equivalent. It's not the same, but you guys get my meaning. It's the wintry equivalent of a hurricane if you were to live down on the Gulf Coast, for example. It shuts down everything. There's so much snow, there's so much cold that they close businesses, they close schools, they close the government down. The Pennsylvania Department of Transportation just can't even keep up with their plows and all this. They just can't. And so Ellen came home early from school and from teaching school, from work, and gassed up her car, came home. The last activity on her computer was submitting grades for her students. She also she called the families of the students to make sure that they all got home. And then she set about making a fruit salad when all of a sudden, according to the official report, she decided she would take a Cutco 1721 knife and she would turn it on herself 10 times in the front, at least 10 times in the back, including a puncture of her spinal column and a puncture of her heart, and then fell to the ground dead. Now, you might be asking yourself, where was Sam when all this was happening? Oh, well, conveniently, Sam had decided to go down to the gym at the apartment complex. Now look at Sam. Now I don't want to like body shame here because man, there are pictures of me. In fact, I'm going to show you. Look at me. Look, I have nothing to talk about, right? This was like what, 2 years ago. I get it, but just look at Sam. Just look at Sam. Okay, not a gym rat. He doesn't strike me as a gym rat, I should say. Okay, but conveniently, he decided for about 45 minutes to go down to the apartment's gym on the first floor, where he was seen on a security camera. He then went back up to the apartment, and the story goes he could not get in, he said, because it was locked from the inside. The door would open part way, but it would not open all the way because it was locked with a swing bar style lock. This is an actual picture of the lock. This is the story. Okay. I don't believe this story. I don't believe this story. After hemming and hawing and complaining and texting and calling Ellen, Sam decides, he says, to break down the door. He even said that he went down and tried to get somebody to let him in, but there was no joy there, and so he decided to break down the door. And he breaks in, and he finds Ellen on the floor. Now, in fairness to the story, he couldn't have possibly seen all of this damage. Okay? He couldn't have seen the damage. But there she was. She was in the kitchen. She was laying kind of on her back with her head and shoulders up against the cabinets. Now, I want you to believe me when I say she was not on her back. I have told you guys this before. Josh and Sandy Greenberg, the wonderful, wonderful people that they are, allowed me unprecedented access to the crime scene photos, to the autopsy photos, to all the reports that they had. I've read it and watched at all. She was not lying on her back. Okay? She was on the floor, it's true. But her shoulders and her head were not on the floor. Now, for those of you who don't know the case, I think it's probably important that we listen to the 911 call. And so I'm going to bring it up here. This is the 911 call that Mr. Goldberg made to emergency services. Let's go ahead and begin it.
Help! I need a emergency now. I just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come. Help!
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no!
Apartment.
It's an apartment.
What apartment number?
Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No, sir, you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, But it's everywhere.
Okay, sir,
it's everywhere.
She might have fallen. Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
Fire Department 842. What's the address? No,
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please hurry.
4601 Flat Rock?
Yes.
What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I don't think she. I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay. Do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay. I can tell you what to do. Okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? Kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell in a knife. Oh, no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her here now? I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police with Shapiro.
277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area did it?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay,
how old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not. Her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean.
I know, but you can't. And the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks and it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling. So I'm
was
yelling.
Your house broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a breaking at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601 Flat Rock, and this is a house, right?
It's an apartment. Flat Rock apartment.
Okay, that'll help.
Oh my God. All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. So that is the 911 call. Now, I think that we have all learned over time that people behave weirdly on 911. By the way, I had an intern go get me water during that. And that intern did a very, very good job. I mean, really outdid themselves. Really overproduced. Very well done. Okay. Now, police come, okay? And firefighters come. And you can see this in the security video that you can see on Ellen's case page on my website. They come and they do an investigation. Now, the first responders who came, they told investigator Tom Brennan, one of them did, that when he was leaving the apartment, he and the police were coming in, he said, "You got yourself a homicide here." But police, they disagreed. They seem to have just looked at the scene and gone, you know what, she did this to herself. And then a man named Steve Olszewski, a medical examiner's investigator, and I don't want to cast shade on Mr. Olszewski. It's a hard job. It's the middle of a nor'easter. I totally get it, but he does what I think is a pretty cursory investigation. You can read his investigation report on my website, but this is a guy like Dr. Joseph Scott Morgan, right? He's a medico-legal death investigator on behalf of the medical examiner. He comes in, he kind of lifts up Ellen's shirt. He sees what he thinks are hesitation wounds and then the coup de grace, and says to himself, you know what, this is not a homicide. This is a case of a young woman deciding to do that to herself. I'm being very careful with my language here because YouTube goes crazy over this case. Okay, YouTube goes crazy over this case. They think that it doesn't matter, but I'm being very careful with my language just to censor myself for YouTube. Okay. Anyway, the body then is taken to the medical examiner's office where it is examined. I should say her body is examined by Dr. Marlon Osbourne. Dr. Osbourne correctly says, no. Hold on, guys. We got a homicide here. She did not do this to herself. Somebody did it to her. Okay, now this is where the great conspiracy comes in. And this is where evidence of corruption starts to rear its ugly head. Okay, because Dr. Osbourne correctly stated this is a homicide. And then over the course of a couple of months, it was between January 26th and April the 13th, if memory serves. It was April 10th, right around in there. There is a public, through the media, pressure campaign put on by members of the Philadelphia Police Department to make the public believe that the medical examiner is wrong, that Ellen did it to herself, not somebody did it to Ellen. And after a long campaign through the media, months long, and what the Greenbergs in one of their lawsuits calls a clandestine meeting between members of the Philadelphia Police Department, at least one member of the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, that would be Ann Ponterio, and his boss, Dr. Sam Gulino. He was pressured into changing the manner of death from homicide to self-inflicted. And then that started a whole So why is the question? Why would the city of Philadelphia, why would the PPD, why would the police care what the medical examiner's office had to say Why would they care about that? Have you ever heard of any other case where a police department would pressure what's supposed to be an independent office, an independent investigator, to change anything about his report? Have you ever heard of that? I personally have not. I've never heard of that happening. But in this case, it appears that it happened. Okay, now this is so self-serving, but I've written this out on my website. This was back in August of 2024, so I'm just going to bring it up for you here. I wrote a blog post titled Understanding Ellen Greenberg's Parents' Three-Front War for Justice. Okay, now this, you know what, this needs to be updated because things have changed so much, but basically this created an environment in which Josh and Sandy Greenberg had to fight for somebody to just say, this makes no sense. She was stabbed 20 times. The new medical examiner says 23. But let's say 20-ish times, including to the back of her head and neck, including piercing her spinal column and her lower brain stem. And you're telling me she did it to herself. Now, let's go back over to this fat Gavin from a couple of years ago with my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife, Kimberly, who does not like to be on camera. And she did this for me. Why? Because she's a perfect avatar, but for Ellen. But we're going to go through this pretty quickly. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but let me just show you this little bit of video here, okay?
Hey guys, this is my wife, Kimberly. YouTube,
it's my snuggly bear right there.
YouTube.
Hi.
So, Kimberly and I were talking about the Ellen Greenberg case and going through the autopsy. Ellen Greenberg was 5'7", 136 pounds. Turns out that my wife is 5'7", 136 pounds. So we thought that she would be a good avatar for Ellen Greenberg if we were to recreate the wounds that she supposedly made to herself.
Okay, so let me just skip ahead. See if we can... Oh yeah, so we used a paint stick.
Of being that also because it's a flat...
But trying to figure out...
like that.
And she is right-handed.
Well, oh yeah, she had a towel in her left hand. So, go ahead and grab that. But it can't be up like that, it has to be like that.
Okay.
But you're holding the blade.
Yeah, so we went through this whole thing trying to figure out, was Ellen even capable of doing that to herself?
So
guys, it's stupid to even think it. It's stupid. I got sidetracked though. I got sidetracked, didn't I? I was just all excited about showing off my awesome wife and my old fat self. But anyway, Josh and Sandy have been, that started their fight to get somebody in government to say, this is ridiculous. Okay? They hired a guy named Larry Krasner. Now that is one picture that I did not pick up. I did not prepare. Larry Krasner is the current district attorney for the county of Philadelphia. And at the time he was a private lawyer. They hired him to try to get the district attorney's office to take a new look. The district attorney's office said, you know what? We will do that. We will take a close look at this case because we certainly don't want, this is Gavin's imagination, by the way, because we certainly don't want the appearance that we didn't do our job here. So we'll shuffle a couple of papers here. We'll look at a couple of videos and poof, here's what we think. We think she did it to herself. And subsequently, Larry Krasner was elected district attorney. So now there is an actual conflict of interest. He cannot keep this case in his office because he represented the Greenbergs. So, according to Pennsylvania law, and I think properly so, he kicked the case to the Attorney General's office, which was led by this guy, a man named Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro, by the way, is currently the governor of the Commonwealth. I have been, I've personally been disinvited from a couple of different events that he's done out here in my neck of the woods because I live in Pennsylvania. He doesn't like me all that much, but it doesn't matter. This isn't about me, right? This isn't about me. What'd you say, intern? Yeah, it's not about me. Okay. So, anyway, it's kicked up to Josh Shapiro's office, and the Greenbergs continue through legal counsel, and they say, will you please take a look at this? Because this is ridiculous. She did not do it to herself. She did not do this to herself. Attorney General Shapiro, and Attorney General Shapiro's office says, you know what? You're right. You're right to come to us. Thank you for coming to me. This is my imagination again. Thank you, Dr. and Mrs. Greenberg, for coming to me. You found the right guy in the right office. We will take a close look at this. Now, what they didn't really say is that when he was elected Attorney General, see, he was not Attorney General when Ellen was murdered. He was elected later. But when he was elected, he made certain hiring decisions, and many of his staff members were hired from the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, and up to the AG's office they went. So when his office said, thank you for coming to us, we want to make sure that the District Attorney's Office did it correctly, we are going to take an independent look at this. We're going to shuffle some papers. We're going to read a couple reports. We're going to watch a couple videos, and poof, we agree with the DA's office. But here's the thing. Those people were the people in the DA's office who said the same thing. They did not, in my opinion, based on any evidence that I have seen, all of the evidence that I have seen, my opinion is that they did not do an investigation at all. Now, they pointed to a record on Ellen's computer that had certain search terms, website visits, most of which that had to do with somebody deciding to harm themselves, but most of those, experts agree, were what are called shadow searches, which really isn't much of a thing anymore in today's internet terms, but at the time it was. A shadow search is, hey, if I go to a website that I don't know, I search the side effects of a certain drug, there will be little windows in there opening up to other websites that the algorithm at the time believed had something to do with what you were looking at. And that could be, for example, side effects of prescription drugs could be self-harm. So that's what those were. But the Attorney General's office said, look, she searched it. We're experts here. We are professional investigators. Look at my name tag. It says professional investigator, right? It was that kind of thing. And so what ended up happening is the Attorney General's office said, we're not going to look at this any further. However, if you come up with your own information through your own investigation, and it's new and it contradicts what we have come to ourselves, we will surely take a look at that. Okay, so it's about this time that people like me are coming on the scene. We're starting to learn about the Ellen Greenberg case. The podcasters, media types. I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Farr from the Philadelphia Inquirer. She was probably the OG when it came to covering this case. But by about this time, I'm coming on the scene. Other people are coming on the scene. I get a tip through my website. Let's see if I go over to the website just so you guys can see this. You can click on this little icon right there, and that opens a form where you can send anything you want to me. I also have a PO box that you can, if you don't want a digital footprint or digital tracks, and you want to send me anything, if you go to support me, or I think it's at the bottom of every page, my PO box address. Anyway, somebody filled this form out, did it anonymously, and said, Gavin, thank you for looking into this case. By the way, did you know that Josh Shapiro went to school with Sam Goldberg's cousin? And I went, interesting. I wonder if I can corroborate this. So the first thing I did, the name of the school at the time was Akiba Academy. It's now Barack Academy. I go to eBay and I find a yearbook and I order it. And sure enough, I find that Josh Shapiro went to school with Sam Goldberg's first cousin. Now, if the governor of Pennsylvania went to school with one of my first cousins that I didn't grow up with, I grew up in California. I had cousins growing up in Arizona, Puerto Rico, Wyoming, Utah. I had cousins everywhere, Colorado, Texas. So if that were the case, that it would be different. But with Mr. Goldberg here, he belongs to a very close-knit Philadelphia family. One of his best friends is a guy named Camion Schwartzman. Camion is his first cousin. In this photo, we're looking at Camion and his father, James Schwartzman. Now, James has a daughter. Her name is Kimberly. She goes by Kimby. Okay, so Camion and Kimby are Sam's first cousins. But they're tight, guys. They're tight. They live near each other. They live on the main line in Philadelphia. They are part of each other's lives, like on the regular. And these guys are buddies. Okay? Well, turns out that, Kimby did go to school with Josh Shapiro and called themselves friends. This is a picture. The two faces that are unpixelated is a later photo of Josh Shapiro and Kimby Schwartzman Kimmel. And I found Twitter posts when it was called Twitter. There were tweets saying that they were friends. I found pictures of them together like this. I found some political donations, right? So, and then getting back to, and so they know, the families know each other, okay? This was a very small, ritzy, expensive private academy that these families went to. And if we go back to Uncle Jimmy, Kimby's dad, Camion's dad, he is a former U.S. attorney. At the time, he was, let's see, I don't want to misspeak this, but he was a private attorney at the time. And I believe, by the time I came on the scene, he was a judge as well. Okay. So, and he has contacts throughout the political establishment in Philadelphia and the police establishment in Philadelphia. And that is basically the crux or the epicenter of where this corruption might be. The idea being, and this is just my speculation, right? I don't know this, but the idea being that before Sam called 911 on January 26th, 2011, he made a previous call. He made multiple previous calls. Those calls were to Kamian Schwartzman, and then he received a call from James Schwartzman, Judge Schwartzman. Powerful family, politically connected family, wealthy family, and that is where it just gets absolutely muddy and where I believe the corruption exists. Right there. Right there. I think this is I'm speculating here. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I think, well, let me put it this way. If I were kind of a spoiled brat kid, I'm satisfied to be able to say that I think Sam, based on conversations I've had with multiple people, kind of grew up as a kid that could get away with anything, that mommy and daddy would swoop in and they would save the day, mostly through mommy's side of the family, the Hankins. That is where the money came from what I understand. And so if I were that kid and I got into trouble my whole life, it could be something as simple. It could be just childish things. It could be major things, right? But if I were in trouble, having lived a life of being bailed out of all my trouble, all my life, bailed out by my folks, by this guy, by actually these men, I think, both lawyers, by the way, I would certainly make that call, and I would expect that they would do the same thing that they had done my whole life. And I think that is where many of us are stuck. Now, Josh Shapiro was not anywhere in the picture during the time that the murder occurred or the investigation by the PPD, by the medical examiner's office, by the DA's office. But he was there when the case was kicked to his office, and he decided, outside of all reasonable evidence, I should say his office decided that Ellen was a victim of herself, which just belies logic. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's where I think a call could have been made. I think at every level, I think calls could have been made to the police department. I think she did it to herself. To the DA's office, I think she did it to herself. To the AG's office, everybody agrees she did it to herself. It sure would be great if this was swept under the rug by politically connected and powerful and rich people in Philly. And that, guys, is what I believe the federal government is doing right now. I think they are investigating that. Now, what we know is that there have been subpoenas issued. There have been subpoenas for not only documents, but also interviews. So I think they're taking this seriously. I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a long while. But you know what? One thing about Josh and Sandy, man, these folks have the patience of Job. These folks are playing the long game. They just continue. They just press forward with grace, with grit, with determination. They just press forward. If you want to know anything more about the case and how that fight has gone, I suggest you head over to my website. Go over to the blog. You click on the blog and then click on Ellen Greenberg, and you will see the articles that I've written, including the one titled that I just showed you, Understanding the Parents' Three-Front War for Justice for Ellen. And then a second one that I would suggest is this one. I wrote this in July of 2024 when Josh Shapiro was being considered as a vice presidential running mate for Kamala Harris. I wrote this It's an opinion piece. People were talking about how the nation wasn't ready for a Jewish vice president, and I said, nay. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has to do with what I think is his part in covering up a murder. And I would invite you to read that, because, listen, in the United States, for those of you outside of the United States, bless you. I am jealous of you in many ways. But here in the United States, the presidential election cycle begins exactly maybe 3.5 seconds after a president is elected. Not even sworn into office, just elected. Now comes the next cycle. And I'm being reached out to by so many people in the political machine trying to get dirt on Josh Shapiro. He is a serious contender for president of the United States. And this is no commentary on his politics. I like to stay politics free. Okay? Whether you agree with him or not has no bearing on my opinion here. My opinion is that as Attorney General, his office engaged in the cover-up of the murder of Ellen Greenberg. And for that, I do not want him to be president of the United States. I don't even want him to be considered at all. So, yeah, go and that would guys, that would be for, if this were the case for any political party or none at all, my opinion would remain the same. It has nothing to do with politics. Okay, so I invite you to read that. Now, let's bring up Ellen's beautiful mug and see what you guys are saying over on the live comments. Let's see this one from Lidritz. Gavin, can you explain as much as you can share why Ellen's parents don't advocate for an exhumation of her body? I understand it's related to their Judaism, but I'm not familiar with that aspect of it. I don't actually believe it is part of their heritage or their religious practice. I have talked with Josh and Sandy about that, and if it would help the case, I think they would do it. But I don't think that it would help the case, and I don't think they think that it would help the case. Ellen, I think Ellen can stay at rest, and there's enough evidence, including portions of her spinal column that were retained by the medical examiner's office that show. I mean, it works in the favor of murder. It shows a lack of vital response. And so I don't think they need to do it. But I do believe that if the experts that they talk to, their legal team, I think that if they believed that it were necessary, they would do it. Yeah. And there are other cases that we know of, like Amanda Winkowski, where that has been done. And it's very difficult on the family. But when you've got the grit of the Greenbergs, I don't think that would stop them. Mooney says, I'd love to know if Sam had a gym schedule or if this night was a one-off. I don't know the answer to the question, but again, as a person who has avoided gyms until recently, my entire life, I feel like he didn't have a normal gym time. That's just me. Miss Chivos Dragon, thanks for looking at those photos for me. Yeah, it's not a pleasant experience, I will tell you that. But it is an experience that I'm deeply grateful to the Greenbergs for, that they agreed to that for me. Mooney says, bonus check for that intern. Well, it's an unpaid position, unfortunately. Maybe I could get a gift card to the Olive Garden or to Qdoba, something like that. Maybe. I'll think about it. Reuter says the intern needs a pay rise and a promotion. I'll consider it. Okay, I'll consider. But yes, that is that. What do they call these? Are these it's not a snifter. I'm searching for the word, but yes, that is a lot of water. Let's fill up the old cupperoo. That was a good intern. Very well done. Maybe I need to consider that person. Is it a moonshine jug? Well, out here, they're more used by the Amish folks than anything. But yeah, I certainly have never imbibed moonshine, so I wouldn't know. Okay. All right. Let me just keep on going here. Melissa, can you please review the Jennifer Selber connection movement timeline? Yeah, I mean, I kind of described it, but Jennifer Selber is described to me as Josh Shapiro's right-hand person. She is, I think right now she is his chief of staff. Let me look that up. Or in-house counsel. Let me see. Jennifer Selber title. Oh, she's general counsel. Yeah. She was in the district attorney's office at the time that that the case was supposedly investigated by the DA's office. She was also one that was promoted up into the AG's office, and now she is general counsel and a close advisor to Mr. Shapiro. She is one that I think I don't know. She's kind of the boogeyman for me on this one. I don't want to. I mean, is it possible that she's doing her best? That she has deep convictions? I guess it's possible. To me, it's not probable though. Yeah, not probable at all. Bring Ellen back up here. Let's see. The former trooper Proctor indicated the ME could be nudged to change her opinion on O'Keefe. It sure sounded like something not unfamiliar to him. Oh, you know what? That's a pretty darn good comment, Ohio Palm Mom. But I think it's the not. But I'm not contradicting you. That was a good comment. I also think that it is. I mean, we're talking about Proctor. This is the exception that proves the rule, right? Yeah. D9072, the judge calling me, could that make it where the feds would take a look? Calling the ME, the judge calling the ME. Sure. Yeah, possible. Yeah, Cassie brings up James Schwartzman was named a super lawyer, meaning he's in the top 5% of attorneys in the state. It's kind of a big deal. Yeah, and my understanding is as a deputy U.S. attorney, he was actually fired. He was let go. He did not leave that post of his own volition, to my knowledge. Mooney says, I think the state is waiting out the Greenbergs. This is actually something I have discussed with the Greenbergs because, yeah, you're right. I mean, Josh and Sandy are well, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say that. It just seems so unloving. But yes, I think they are. I think that's true. I think they're the only ones withstanding. And the Greenbergs and the city is like, you know what? We got enough time. I think you're right. Re888 has never seen me with short hair. That's funny. My hair for my whole life has been short. It's just been in the last year or so that I am growing it out. Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward to the short hair again. Archangel Marici says, don't want to go there, but he doesn't look like the type to go to the gym that often. Yeah. No. Oh, it is called a growler. Thank you. This is a growler of water, folks. Water. That is what I drink. Mooney, not Mooney. Robin says, I always thought moonshine came in mason jars. Scotch's mom, is Sam still married to his wife? I heard that the wife left with their kids. So here's the thing. Sam did marry later. He married to somebody that I would say, in my estimation, my opinion anyway, came from a family that was a little more, that the Goldbergs were a little happier about than Ellen. But I would say that she has nothing to do with this, and nor do their children. If anything, they are victims in this. And so I try to stay away from that. Now, I've heard those rumors too. I've not been able to completely corroborate them, though I've come close. I don't know. Ohio Palm Mom, you may need to explain the reference to Wanda. Oh, well, we are searching for a fictitious producer that can push my buttons and toggle my switches and my levers, and somebody I can blame when things go wrong or when I need to take a second take on something. And I asked for ideas, and one of the ideas was Wanda. I didn't get it. It went right over my head. But Kimberly thought it was hilarious, a fish called Wanda. She thought that was hilarious. So that's where the name Wanda. Maybe Wanda will be hired as our permanent producer. Fur Babyish, Gavin, has the boyfriend ever been charged with DV after this? To my knowledge, no. And I've looked. I haven't found anything. Let's see. What is Mooney saying that Scotch's mom needs to ask? I can't see. Okay, tell you what. Oh, we went long. So let us, if you have any other comments, definitely keep them coming. But for now, let us move on to 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow. Okay, in the 3 questions segment, guys, I answer 3 questions that were sent in by you to 3questions@gavinfish.com. 3questions@gavinfish.com, spelled out THREE, questions@gavinfish.com. I solemnly promise that I will answer these questions, and they can be difficult, thought-provoking, philosophical questions, or they can be, what's my favorite color, and anywhere in between. You do not need to be limited by how many questions you may send in. You may send in as many as you'd like. You may send them in 1 at a time or 1,000 at a time. Doesn't matter to me, but I will be answering 3 at a time. Now, as I'm answering these questions, I would like you to think about how you would answer these questions. Yeah, I'm giving you a job. It's cool. Just, I know that you want to relax, but no, we're working here. Okay. I'd like to know what you think your answers would be to these 3 questions, and let us begin. Question number 1, does pineapple go on pizza? I will preface this by saying I'm a big fan of Neapolitan pizza. I remember, what do I sense? Yes, indeed. I remember the first time I ever did partake of the delightful Neapolitan pizza. It was in the village of La Falda, Argentina. It was a young man who had spent some time in Italy, came back and opened a restaurant, and he made the most glorious Neapolitan pizza that was just so delicious, and I have been a big fan ever since. Having said that, I don't think we need to take things so seriously. It's bread and tomato sauce or some other kind of sauce and toppings. And that makes a pizza, and it is wonderful. I have had pizzas all over the world, all different styles. So the answer is, yeah, pineapple definitely goes on pizza if it floats your boat. In my case, my boat is indeed floated by pineapple on pizza. I am a fan of the humble Hawaiian pizza. Question number 2. Now, I would say my favorite, though, is Neapolitan. I just love a good Neapolitan pizza. Oh, dude. where the bread is cooked in a very high temperature pizza oven. It is slightly burnt on the underside. I like there to be leopard spots on the cheese. I like it to be fresh mozzarella cheese. Like just came out of the cow and was turned into cheese today kind of mozzarella. And I just love to sprinkle a little bit of flaky salt on it. Oh, I just love that. It's like a nice MLT, mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean. No, that is my favorite. However, the Hawaiian pizza is a delicious pizza. Okay, question number 2. Just for fun, what animal would you like to come back as if reincarnation exists? Well, I suppose I would want to either be an apex predator or an animal that apex predators are like, nah, I'm not going to mess with that. I don't want to be a rabbit. I don't want to be a squirrel. I don't want to be like a goat, something that Steven Spielberg might feed to the T-Rex. I don't want to be that kind of animal. So, but I would love to be fast. Feel the wind on my little furry face. So I would say my top 3 answers would be a polar bear because I like the cold, and I like being tall. Number 2 would be maybe some kind of Serengeti cat, probably a cheetah because I like the speeda. And number 3, maybe a horse. Now I know that horses are technically prey animals, but they're so fast, man. They're so fast. Yeah, fun question. Question number 3. I feel like we've had this question already. I think maybe I copied a question. Let's do this again anyway. If you could have any obscure, unusual, non-monetizable talent. Yeah, we've done this question before. I accidentally brought this one in. What would it be? So let's just answer it. And I'd love to hear your answers. Obscure, unusual, non-monetizable talent. No, my grandmother was a musician. Like, she was a terrific musician, man. And that mostly came in the form of piano and organ. But she also was just awesome at everything. If it was a musical instrument, or even your voice, which is a musical instrument, she was good at it. She played the spoons once. Well, multiple times, but in my mind, I remember her playing the spoons. And man, that was awesome. I think that could be monetized technically. But playing the spoons would be cool. Oh, I had friends in elementary school that they called it double jointedness, where they could tuck their thumb in weird. That seems pretty cool. Or maybe something as simple as being able to palm a basketball. That would be great. I can barely palm a volleyball. I've got these tiny little hands. So yeah, I don't know. Always dressing perfectly for the weather. Yeah. I guess that would be my answer. Now, while you guys think of your answers and you put them in the comment with a GF, by the way, so that I can see them, let us, shall we, just get into a few true crime headlines. Here we go.
True crime headlines.
Pow! Okay, join me, if you will, over at Ye Old Acrobat. This one coming from CourtTV.com. Ashley Buzzard's defense granted access to sealed warrants in murder case. This came out yesterday. Lompoc, California. A permanent gag order will remain in effect during the remainder of criminal proceedings against the Vandenberg Village mother charged with murdering her 9-year-old daughter last fall. Santa Barbara County Superior Court Judge Stephen Dunkel approved the order during a hearing for Ashley Buzzard, age 40, on Wednesday morning in a Lompoc courtroom. The ruling came after county counsel representing the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office and the prosecution told the judge they were taking no position on the request. The defense requested the gag order be placed on the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office in an effort to prevent authorities from releasing additional details about the murder investigation involving Buzzard. I think this is probably grandstanding. I mean, the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office certainly did put out a lot of information, but it was during the time where they were looking for Melody. They haven't done anything since. Come on. So grandstanding. Moving on. This one from newsnation.com. Our favorite celebrity lawyer, Alan Jackson, sticks to the notion that Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. Alan Jackson, Nick Reiner's former attorney, says he believes Reiner is not guilty of murder after being accused in the deaths of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner. I will stick by that, the celebrity lawyer told Jesse Weber Live on Wednesday. I stand by it. I still believe it. I believed it then. I believe it now. Every day that goes by, I'm more solid in my belief that under the law, this is his qualifier every single time, that under the laws of this state, he is not guilty. Yeah, okay. So basically what you're saying is he's crazy, right? He's insane. My hope is the justice system sees its way clear to establish that. And then blah, 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 blah. So let's see. Jackson, when asked if the murders could have been avoided, resoundingly said yes. He pointed towards mental health playing a huge role. Reiner's mental health history has been spotlighted since he was charged in the killings. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. There's a lot to uncover, a lot of layers of the onion to peel back as it relates to, generally speaking, the mental health industry writ large here in the United States, being very careful not to talk specifically about Mr. Nick Reiner, who is set to be arraigned on February 23rd. Moving on to our third and final headline of the day. No arrests in the death of Anna Kepner 75 days into the homicide investigation. This one brought to us by People.com, written by Chris Spargo. On November 7th, 2025, the body of 18-year-old Anna Kepner was discovered under a bed in her stateroom aboard the Carnival Horizon. An investigation was immediately launched, and agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigation were waiting for the cruise ship when it docked in Miami, Florida, 2 days after a week at sea. 2 days later after a week at sea. It has now been 75 days since that investigation began, and still there have been no arrests made or charges filed in the case. There's also been no information or updates regarding the investigation shared by local police, federal agents, and local, state, or federal prosecutors regarding the case. What is known about the incident comes almost entirely from court documents previously obtained by people that were filed by the parents of Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother, who shared a room with her on that trip. And we understand that he is the lead suspect in this case, but we haven't heard anything. And the FBI is notorious for not leaking information. Those are your headlines. Let's check to see what you guys have been saying as your answers to our 3 questions segment. Let's check this out. Fur baby-ish loves fish. Well, thank you. That's awesome. Robin says, how about a green olive and a black olive pizza? Nom, nom, nom. Yeah, I'm in. Yes, love them. Neapolitan pizza is the most simple and original pizza. It's this. It is basically a thin crust. It is tomato sauce, and it is fresh buffalo mozzarella cheese. It is baked usually around 900 degrees Fahrenheit, 5-ish 100 degrees Celsius, and it takes about 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds to bake. And it is delicioso, man. It's simple and it's delicious. That's what that is. Melissa, are the major hitters, Dateline 2020, etc., still going to hold off on doing a segment due to no finality? I hope that makes sense. Typically they do, yes. Now keep in mind that the documentary that was on Hulu, the Death in Apartment 603, that was an ABC 2020 production. So 2020 has done something thanks to the heroic and Herculean efforts of Laura Diamond. Dateline, to my knowledge, now I know a Dateline producer that has been following this. Every time we need to go somewhere for this, she's there. So I think they probably are holding off until there's some sort of resolution. I think 2020 outside of that documentary probably will too. Makes perfect sense. Good question. Continuing on down the line, what do we got? Garth B. Nutt says, I would want to come back as my Chihuahua. That I don't know. Chihuahuas have creepy hands. I don't know. I like Chihuahuas, but they do have kind of creepy hands, right? But I see what you're saying. You want to just hang out in a house? Yeah, dude. A chill, relaxed dog would be a good choice. Yes. Miss Chivo's Dragon says, number 1, maybe. Now I have to remind myself the questions. Let's see. Does pineapple go on pizza? Number 1, maybe. What animal would you like to come back as if reincarnation exists? A Carolina wren. And what is the obscure, unusual, non-monetizable talent that you would want to have if you could have it? And Miss Chivo's Dragon says, ham bone. Nice. I like it. I like it. All right, guys, that is the end of our live stream, our time together this Thursday evening. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. One more question coming in. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. From Melissa. Last one, I promise. Is the Chester County DA's office one of the agencies being investigated? I have not heard anything about an investigation into the Chester County DA's office. So I don't know. I don't know. Great question. All right, guys. Remember that you can always reach out to me on my website. I already showed you guys that, but also while you're on the website, I encourage you, there's a little icon right there that you can click on if you want to reach out to me. But I also encourage you to check out Ellen's case page, check out the blog posts, the three-prong war one is a very, very good one. And the opinion piece I did on Josh Shapiro is another good one. I invite you to do that. Remember, if you click on this little fishy icon right there, that will take you over to the Fish Tank on Facebook, where we like to hang out. I want to say a very special and heartfelt thank you to my patrons and YouTube members who care for me and make it possible for me to do this, and to you who is watching this video or listening to the podcast, sharing it, commenting on it, liking on it, subscribing to it. Thank you. We will be back one more time this week, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. And until then, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.